My manager came over to me and said, Mark, go home. You look like you're going to die. And I don't think he was very far off. This was in 2016. I was going through an extremely difficult time. That was a Thursday, and that Wednesday night, Tuesday, Monday, and Sunday night, what he does not know is that I didn't sleep pretty much at all. Until about 2 to 3 a.m., I was just in my bed, tossing and turning. I was just freaked out, extremely stressed, knots in my back. I would try to clear my mind, and it didn't work. I tried everything. What I found out is that the only thing that would somewhat give me some relief was really late, like 2 a.m. I'd go into a boiling hot bath and put on some soft jazz or something, close my eyes. Probably not very safe, but that would give me some relaxation. It was just an awful time in my life. And the reason why this was all happening is because I had just left Morgan Stanley and moved to State Street. Yeah, I got a salary increase, but at the same time, and why I chose to do it at the same time, I don't know, I just bought a house. We were looking for years, and we finally found a house. It was a little above our budget. But I justified, I was just starting script uni. Hopefully that would work out. So on paper, the money was kind of exact. Then what happened is we closed on the house, walked in, and realized that nothing was what it seemed. The entire flooring needed to be ripped up. The walls needed to be redone. The backyard, literally everything. It was so much money, the repairs. It was absolutely ridiculous. And I started freaking out because there was no way I was going to come up with the money for this. Even if I emptied everything I had in savings, my 401k, everything, I still wouldn't have had enough money. Not that that would have been a good idea. So I was just really losing sleep. Well, not sleeping at all, and completely stressed out. And this had a massive impact on my work. I couldn't work at all. I got to work with no sleep. I'd be not only dozing off on the job, but have massive headaches, just not care at all about work. And obviously, 3 months into a new job, this is a very bad look. 3-4 months into a job. So he sent me home randomly during the day, not having any idea that any of this was going on. And the point of the story is this. A job is obviously really important. In a way, we all think about our entire life as our job. When people say, what are you? Your response is very rarely, I'm a dad, or I'm a mom, or I'm a good friend. Your response is, I'm an engineer. Because we associate ourselves with our jobs. And I think too much emphasis is made on that. And when people look for jobs, they just think about, where's the job located? Will I be able to work remote or not? How much money will I make? What does the job entails? But very few people at the forefront think about their personal life. And that is, I think, the most important thing when making a decision. In fact, I know this kind of goes back on what I just said, but one of the first things I ask my coaching clients is, how much money do you need to make? And the word need is very important because it's not, everybody wants to make millions, right? But how much money do you need to sustain your personal lifestyle without feeling incredibly stressed? And usually when I ask this question, it's not about how much do you need this year, it's how much are you going to need in 5 years. The way you're planning your personal life, how much money are you going to need to be stable? And sometimes people choosing a career that might make them very happy, but they'll just be so overwhelmed financially, they won't be, as was my case. So I think these are some of the questions you need to ask yourself. Do you want to get married? Where do you want to live? How many kids do you want to have, if any? Do you want to adopt kids? What type of education do you want? Do you want to stop after bachelor's, master's, PhD? Do you want to learn multiple languages? How much money will you need to sustain your lifestyle? When you have all of those questions answered, then you can ask yourself, okay, now let me look at my career options. Because there are, even just in finance or just in technology, there are tens of thousands of options of what you can do. But once you've figured out what you want to do with your actual life, it makes it that much easier to narrow down and say, okay, all of these are out of the way because either they don't pay enough, the hours are too long, that won't work with my lifestyle choices and stuff like that. So, I spoke with a managing director at Morgan Stanley. he headed one of the investment banking groups. They're like within the investment banking division, there are multiple groups. He was the head of one of the groups. MD, making millions of dollars every year, yes. And when I asked him, do you regret anything about your life? If you could redo it, would you redo anything? And his response was, yes, the number one thing that's most important to me is my children. And I feel like I let them all down. Like they all grew up with a mother and not with a father because he was always at work. I asked him if he could do it again. What would he do? He said equity research. He knows there are like during earnings, you're never home, but the rest of the time you have pretty decent hours. So I think that's the way you really have to go about it. And once you do that, then look at all the options you have career-wise, and then start your typical career questions, such as, promotion, type of job, technical stuff like that. Let me know any personal experiences you have in the comment down below. I'm really interested to hear. I've heard my own stories quite a bit, although I don't think I've ever told this story out loud. But I'd love to hear your own stories or what you think about planning your personal life before your actual career. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.